All right, guys, we're live. Happy Community Manager Appreciation Day 2016. We've been gathering together as community managers now for 7 years, ever since Jeremiah Owang said, hey, on the fourth Monday of every January, why don't we all get together and celebrate Community Manager Appreciation Day, where we take some time and reflect about how great our industry is and recognize each other. We've been doing this live hangout with panels from all around the world for 4 years, and in the last 3 years, we've actually started an awards program where a combination between sponsors and community managers recognizing each other and nominating each other with a panel. We send awesome swag and actual pretty cool wooden plaques out to those who win, and so. If you go to cman.co, you can see all of those awards that we handed out today. Hello, my name is Brew. I'm the Director of Awesome with BTC Revolutions and co-producer at my CMGR Hangout. It's been a great ride today. We're at the home stretch, and I'm really happy to be here with you all.
Hey everybody, I'm Sherry Rohde. I'm the Community Manager at Magento and co-produce CMGR Hangout and my CMGR.
Hey guys, happy CVAD. I am Rachel Miller, Social Strategist at Pure Matter.
Hi everybody, I'm Kristen Cardos and I work in community with Convince and Convert and B3 Broad Suite.
Hey guys, I'm Barak. I am the founder of Amplify Your Biz, and because I've neglected to say this for the last 22 hours, I am also now a community manager for BTC Revolutions. I also help out with my community manager, and I am the community manager for Meshfire from Seattle. I said it all without screwing it up.
Congratulations.
So proud.
Hey guys, I'm Dom. I am a community manager and project manager for BTC Revolutions as well. I also am a co-host with Sherry and Brew for my community manager, for Community Manager Hangout on Fridays. And for one of the last times, I want to give a big shout out to all of our award sponsors. We've been seeing, you guys have been sharing out all of the awards, everybody that won. There's some wicked love that's going around, and all of the awesome swag that they are going to be getting is thanks to the sponsors. So a huge shout out to Salesforce Community Cloud, to Higher Logic, to Online Community Results, to Sprout Social, to Vanilla Forums, to Zoomph, to communitymanagement.org, to socialmedia.org, to Amplify Yourself, to Igloo Intranet, and also to Meshfire. So thank you very much to all of our award sponsors. And Brew, what hour are we on here, bud?
We are on hour 22. Thanks for asking. The panel is going to be called Inside B2B Communities. And Joe, we're going to let you run with the show.
Excellent. Thank you, Brew and team. So we've got a great session today and a great set of panelists. We're going to be talking about B2B, and a lot of people are confused about what B2B is. Some people think B2B is just about employees. Some people think B2B is just about communities where people talk about business topics. Some people think that communities is really only a consumer phenomenon. So hopefully if you're not a B2B community manager today, you'll get a good idea of what B2B really means from our panelists. And if you are a B2B specialist, you're going to hear from some of the people who are doing some of the most interesting work in this space. We have 4 panelists today. We have Alan Bush from Rackspace. We have Jen Chen from Lithium, which is where I'm from, Lithium Technologies. We've got Julie Hamill from Alteryx, and we have Clint Heath from Cloudera. So welcome, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to start with some questions that help the people who are viewing this session understand kind of who the panelists are and where you come from. And maybe Julie Hamill will start with you, if you can tell us a little bit about your company and your community, specifically who your users are.
Hey everyone, very happy to be on this panel. Thanks for inviting me. So Alteryx provides the leading platform in self-service data analytics, and our community is mainly made up of people who use our products, as well as prospects and students. It's mainly data analysts, scientists, but also, managers and directors, consultants, and marketers across different verticals who use our product in their enterprise. And then as far as our community, it's a peer-to-peer support community mainly, but it's also a place where users can come and hear from our own company through our blogs, finding out, apologies, our blogs offer, thought leadership. They can read directly from our dev teams who work on the engine. They can come and provide their ideas for feature improvements, where our product management teams, oversee and take into consideration all of the ideas and work those into the releases if it makes sense, and keep the community updated. And it's also just a place for our users to connect with one another and share their experiences and expertise.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Julie. That's perfect. Alan from Rackspace, give us a quick overview of your company and your community.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks for having me. Great to be here with this great cast of characters and community managers here. So Rackspace is a web hosting, email hosting company, and we've really staked our reputation on fanatical support, our willingness to go that extra mile for our customers. And so I really think that our community is just a broadcast extension of that fanatical support. So it's a way for us to amplify our support and reach more people, people outside of our customers even, that just have questions. I mean, I really view my role as trying to help people find the answers that they need to do the cool things that they want to. And people that are using our products, people that are using our products adjacently. So just a lot of helping people. It's primarily a support community, so lots of people that are asking questions, lots of people that are looking to find a solution, and we're there to help them, whether it's our product, a combination of our products and some other people, some third-party products as well.
Fantastic. So that's Alan and Julie. Jen Chen from Lithium. Give us the same.
Hi guys, happy Monday wherever you are in the world. My name is Jen Chen, and like Joe mentioned, I work at Lithium Technologies as the community manager there. So that means, one, I get to work with Joe, and two, Lithium Technologies is a company that provides enterprise community software for businesses. So that's anything from the community platform itself to social listening tools, things like that. It's been just about 7 months since I joined the team, and it's been an amazing ride. So I'm excited to share with you guys, my experience today.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jen. And Clint Heath, bring up the rear for us. Clint from Cloudera.
All right. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me as well. I feel like my community and my story is very similar to Alan and Julie's. So I'm in the big data space as well. I work for Cloudera, and we're a enterprise data management and analytics platform run on the Apache Hadoop ecosystem. So we're taking an open source software, and that's what kind of makes us unique, is that we're actually bridging the gap between open source developer world and the enterprise world. We're taking the Hadoop software and combining it and testing it and building out a platform that is enterprise ready and security conscious and hardened for the enterprise customers. So we have a support community basically as well. Our customers come to the community and are free users because they can download our software for free, and they get peer-to-peer support there, as well as our engineers and our employees work in the community trying to help them adopt our platform and get over the hurdles. So it's mainly a support community. It's a place for us to build our brand and build that relationship with the people that are ultimately going to get the proof of concepts off the ground and get them into business projects at their enterprises.
Fantastic. Thanks, Clint. And you guys are already raising some themes I think are really interesting. You talk about the support orientation. Alan talked about it. Clint talked about it. But I also hear marketing coming through too, right? It's a way of supporting your customers, building your brand. So looking forward to digging into some of that in more detail. But before we do, one of the things I find most interesting about a B2B community specifically is the path that people take to the role of community manager. So I wonder, maybe we can start with you, Clint. How did you get into this role? Maybe talk a little bit about where you came from and what appealed to you about being the community manager for Cloudera.
Actually, it's a very interesting story, and not so uncommon from what I found out since I joined these ranks. But I was actually a support engineer for Cloudera, and actually 5.5 years prior to that. I had a long career as an IT professional myself, out in the field doing systems administration work, doing programming, a lot of these different things. And I was always a member of enterprise communities. I found myself, needing to bounce ideas off my peers, get support, figure out new products, just a variety of ways that I was involved in communities. And when I was, joined Cloudera as a support engineer, and we were a small company growing fast, I saw the need for a good enterprise class platform community, and I actually championed the idea of bringing one on board. And there's some folks in marketing and other people within the company that we built a committee, and we actually built this a plan to go build this community together, and we have a multi-pronged approach to it now. And it's naturally someone needed to run the online community itself once we launched it, so that's where I transitioned. It's been a fun ride.
Well, that's fantastic. So it sounds like you got to build the strategy as well as then operationalize it and make it happen.
Exactly.
Terrific. Very good. Who else wants to tell the story of their path? Julie, let me pick on you.
So Joe actually hired me as a moderator, working for Lithium, 7, 8 years ago. And so I got to work with many of Lithium customers in B2C and as well as B2B communities. Eventually went on mat leave, came back, had to figure out, where I was going to fit in the org. And what I really loved working with community managers was the fact that, you could positively impact customers, basically, in the way that you manage the communities as well as the organization. You could use your creativity, and with the knowledge that I have of the platform, it seemed like a natural fit. I became the admin on the Lithium community, which Jen manages today. Eventually became the community manager, and that was my path, basically. With other, roles in between, doing customer success and all of that. So, I learned from the best. Very fortunate to still be working with him today. And how I ended up at Alteryx is just, after being at a company for 7 years, at some point you start wondering if you can actually put your skills into practice in a different industry, and great opportunity came along, and I jumped.
Well, I know your boss tells me that, in his words, you may be the best community manager on earth. And he's met a lot of community managers, so I think regardless of how you got there, you're doing a pretty good job, at least by his standards. So thanks for sharing the path. Jen, tell us your story.
Sure. So I never thought I would I never thought I would become a community manager, to be honest. It's not something that, when I was little, I thought I would get into, but the path, like some others have alluded to here, the path is pretty interesting. So I worked at Google and Intuit as a tech support representative, and when I was at Intuit, we launched a community there. And that was, a Lithium community, and the interesting thing was I was one of the highest performing tech support representatives at the time, and they thought I had a good voice, so I started to moderate. And pretty soon into that, the community manager at the time started to mentor me and teach me, and then she offered me a role within the community team, and that was something that I really enjoyed. Again, it's not something that I thought I would have ever dreamed of doing, but it was something that I fell in love with, and when I started doing that, loved it even more. Eventually, she left, and I got to take more ownership over the community at Intuit. And then luck just, happened to be in my way. So when Julie was making her transition from Lithium, she had reached out to me for this position, and I, being a community manager for a lithium community, I was like, what could be better than actually working for lithium? So, like Julie, I took the jump and took the opportunity.
So I think we need maybe to have a future hangout where you talk about what it's like stepping into another community manager's shoes.
Yeah.
After,
especially after hearing that she's apparently the best community manager. That's some pretty tough shoes to fill.
They were big shoes. They were. Thank you so much, Jen. Alan, tell us your story.
So my story started a long time ago, actually. Not too long ago, I was trying to put this down on a timeline, and I realized as I kept looking back, I'd actually done several community-related things. So, over 10 years ago now, I was living in Kansas City, Missouri, my hometown, and I was part of a very small, very disorganized community of improvisational comedians. There were 2 or 3 different factions, and lots of turf wars. It was rough, but we decided that a group effort, a community, would actually help to improve all of our audiences. So we kind of built a community, and that was really a grassroots effort. We built a forum. We had several different events for everybody, and that was kind of the very first community management situation I found myself in. Fast forward a few more years, I was working for a company, and we were starting to use a new software. And to better get support out of the software and to better understand the software, I was asked by my manager to participate actively in their community forums, and so I did. I started to ask questions, and I also started to answer questions and become a part of that. The company I was working for went out of business, but the basically resume that I had created with my work in the community got me a job at the software company that I was working with. I helped that company build out an onboarding program, and then Rackspace needed an onboarding program built out. So a few years later, I moved in and helped Rackspace build up an onboarding program, and in parallel, Rackspace was starting to build up a community, but it was really focused on product-specific, just showing off the products, and that was well and good. But the community had started to organically migrate to more of a question and answer forum. It was more of a people were organically coming to the forum to look for help and support, and so we decided to rebrand that. And so my new manager, Stuart Banky, give him a little shout out here, he's watching probably, said, hey, let's put together a team to be technical community managers that can help answer some customer questions and can really work to build a strategy around amplifying Fanatical support to our customers. And so that finds me here today talking to you all.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And this is a nice transition, actually, to the next question, which is all about, you mentioned amplifying Fanatical support, and you talked about what attracted you to this role. Why is the business doing it? And Alan, we'll start with you. Why does this matter to Rackspace, right? And how do they measure whether they're accomplishing their goals?
No, that's a great question. So it matters to Rackspace because we trust in our customers, and our customers trust us, and we need to find ways to provide them with that Fanatical support. So traditionally, Fanatical support has been you give us a call, and a real human being answers the phone for you within 20 or 30 seconds of it starting to ring. We find an answer for you as fast as we can. We work in a ticket. We work in a chat. Those are all still very much there. But we started to see that as we move to more of a cloud-based model where it is more self-service and people can sign up on their own without ever having to speak to a racker, as we call ourselves at Rackspace, we found that not only were people trying to sign up on their own without working, but they were also trying to answer questions on their own, and they might not have ever spoken to anybody at all. And so how do we reach those people that we've built our company on answering questions as quickly as possible and working one-on-one with our customers? How do we reach these greater numbers of people who are also reluctant to work with us in a one-on-one capacity? So we said, hey, let's go ahead and find ways to broadcast that. So one of the other initiatives that I've been very active in is our office hours hangout, and it's a way for us to take individual support interactions, right, and amplify that to the entire to the entire world, right? So it's a live stream. It's on YouTube every Thursday, and my co-host and I sit down and we talk about new trends in cloud technology. We talk about best practices. We talk about ways that people can be successful. So it's really about finding ways to reach people that aren't necessarily going to be actively looking for support for Rackspace. It's also trying to find ways to be proactive. So one of the ways that we can be fanatical is to answer questions before the customers have them. So if a customer who is more apt to search Google for an answer to a question as opposed to contacting a racker, if they can find the answer to their question before they have to contact somebody, they love that. Right? They love it. They have the answer to the question. They can go on. We're always here. We're always going to pick up the phone. We are staffed 24/7, 365 days a year. We're always going to be there in the case of an emergency. But for non-emergency things, if you don't have to call in and talk to somebody and explain what's going on and why you're trying to do it, if you can find that answer for yourself, people love that. And so it's a great way for us to be there to fanatically support our customers without them having to reach out to contact us.
And so how does that show up from a measurement perspective? Are we talking about CSAT? Are we talking about NPS? Are there other ways that you measure the impact of what you're doing in that respect? Or
Yeah, we're definitely looking into better understanding that. So we're always trying to figure out. In fact, we were just working today to figure out another survey, the methodology on another survey to find out what our customers are looking for. NPS is absolutely a factor in that. We've worked with NPS for a very long time, and it's been very helpful for us. So we work with NPS. We also, frankly, look at ticket resolutions. We look at ticket queues. We had a very rough time when there was a security vulnerability. It required us, Amazon, a lot of other companies to reboot all of our cloud servers. It was pretty rough. We learned a lot from that. It happened a couple of different times. The second time we did it, we really took to the community to get the word out there. We had about the same amount of ticket transactions and chat transactions, but the resolution time on those was significantly faster because we were able to divert a lot of those questions to the community to answer them there. So I mean that's one metric that we can absolutely point to and say, hey, we're making a big difference here.
That's great. That's a whole set of metrics I think you referred to that help people understand kind of what the measurement dashboard is for this. And forgive me, I didn't mention NPS means Net Promoter Score. That is a measurement of the likelihood of your customers to refer your brand to their friends and colleagues, and some people say it's a superior metric to customer sat. So anyway, I use the acronym there just in case you don't know. Net Promoter Score is what that means. Julie, can you talk a little bit about why Alteryx has a community and how they measure results?
Sure. So Alteryx originally had a community mainly to provide, a support channel. It was basically like a glorified case portal, if you will. But the community really lacked ownership and was hosted on an antiquated platform with outdated branding. So our entire team was hired, last year, brought on board with the first mandate to migrate and relaunch fully branded community, or customers, partners, prospects, and employees as well could support one another, and collaborate and innovate and gain insights quickly, because that is what our product does. Our product allows its users to quickly blend their data and prepare their data and quickly gain insights. And we wanted, they really wanted the community to reflect that as well, so that people did not have to wait, to find solutions. So that's basically, what our community was created for, to connect users. We want to empower them to be able to find solutions faster, and that's what we're measuring. Both, knowledge base views as well as solution views. We do also look at NPS. We're running, the lithium value analytics to try to figure out, in what areas of the community are we lacking content, or are users less satisfied, which has been really helpful. And comparing that as well with, you know, the number of cases that have been resolved or deflected, and what we've been hearing a lot lately, and we've only been live for 4 months, so it's, you know, it's a very short amount of time. You know, oftentimes our users are still getting used to coming to the community, but they will open a case or they will contact their account rep with a question, and in the meantime, before the person is able to get an answer from our support channel, they go and check out the community and they end up finding their answer, which has been, you know, a fantastic story. And so, yeah, that's basically what well, some of the things that we're measuring, because we're pretty much measuring everything as a data company. We're taking a look at everything.
Good, just what I would expect. Clint, same story for you, or are there some different nuances for Cloudera and the way they think about this?
Yeah, it's there are some similarities with Alan and Julie's stories. You know, I've worked at small startups before in the past, but coming to Cloudera was a new experience in the sense that not only are we building a product and a company from the ground up, but we're also building basically a new industry sector, a new market. And so Hadoop is kind of a revolutionary product, or a whole ecosystem of products that's actually revolutionizing the data warehousing, data management, and analytics worlds. And because of that, we need adoption. We need to train, you know, developers. We need to get people adopting the platform, trying it out, you know, testing out use cases, and having success with the product. We need people to be able to see success with their own data, figure out how big data works for them, how Hadoop can help them, and how our platform can ease that transition into a new world of big data. And so, you know, community is basically part of our DNA from the ground up. It's an open source community that we're already a member of. We're trying to monetize that with an enterprise platform. And so what we were doing in support, basically, we sell support subscriptions, so our customers pay us for the added level of enterprise level support and consulting and training and other things that they don't get from the free downloads. And so that was great, and we're growing the company that way. But right away, what I noticed and why I started campaigning 3.5 some odd years ago to build an enterprise community was that we had a lot of low-hanging fruit, newbie questions, how-tos. People were stubbing their toes on the knobs of our product and not knowing what to do, and they're tripping over things that should really be easy, self-serve kind of question and answer. They should be able to go to a peer-to-peer network where we have reusable, curated knowledge, community knowledge, or peers that have expertise who could quickly turn around some of those easy questions and get them back to work. So much like Alan mentioned, we have customers that are paying us for subscription support. So obviously, if there's something urgent or important or really big and hairy, they come to us with support tickets. But one of the things that I felt like was really important for us to do for our customers is to give them a chance to not have to stumble across the same recurring questions, the newbie type of things. So the community gives us a chance to use a knowledge base, community-generated knowledge, those solutions that are generated from their peers' questions, and like Alan mentioned, Google searches are really popular. Most of our traffic comes into our site through Google. So people are able to just Google their problem, find a solution or at least a thread that's similar to their issue, maybe get the answer right away and go back to work. Maybe they have to ask a question and engage a little bit. But either way, there's content that's reusable, and it's we're there curating it, and we're able to deflect those easy low-hanging fruit type of questions. So it started out that way. That was the number one thing on my mind, is to help scale our support organization. We're in rapid growth mode. We're adding new customers all the time. We're adding new tickets coming in every month in our queue. We can't add support engineers with all this expertise as fast as we were adding customers. So to help scale, we needed to be able to leverage the community, leverage reusable knowledge that's curated and able to deflect the one-off questions that would keep coming in. And it started out with that, but it's also a whole lot more. You know, we have a multi-pronged approach to engaging with our community. We have our whole marketing department, and they're mostly concerned about building our brand, building brand awareness, and the stickiness that the community gives to our brand. People come and they try our product out, they see a great community, they get engaged, and immediately they're loyal to our brand, even though their company may not even be checking out POCs yet. So it's a brand loyalty aspect of it. For my organization,
I love the fact that you ended up with some very good tactical examples, but I love where you began. You know, why do we have a community? Because we're changing the world, right? I mean, that's what you're right. I mean, and it's funny because I think almost everyone on this panel has the same story, right? You know, Julie's company is changing the way companies use data, right? At Lithium, we think about, you know, we're changing the way companies interact with their customers, and that community is a platform for moving the company and the customer to the next place. To me, is a super exciting mission, right? I mean, maybe harder to measure sometimes, other than the success of our company, but I loved that as a starting point in your conversation. So really appreciate that. Anything else you'd add quickly before we go to Jen?
No, it's good.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. So Jen, anything you'd add?
No, I think you know, the others said it really well, and obviously why Lithium has a community is to support all these amazing community managers like Julie, like people who, like Clint, who are trying to accomplish their business goals in the community, and that's important to us. We take, you know, customer success very personally. So what's exciting to see is ongoing conversations between different community managers, whether they're, you know, in Australia, in Canada, in Asia. They come together to have these conversations about what they're doing, maybe the features that they're using, different challenges that they're facing in their communities, whether it's you know, like a rogue user or a troll, or just trying to manage support cases, things like that, trying to measure community engagement. And so it's exciting. I think one amazing thing about community management that I say a lot, but I'll say it again, is that there's this generosity in wanting to help one another. I see that in, you know, these hangouts. I see that in CMGR Hangout, in the Lithium community, and just across the globe. There's this almost like this band of unity that people want to help each other, and I see that in my own community as well, and that's something that I'm very fortunate to have.
Sorry, give us just a minute, Jen, on measuring success with the Lithium community. What are the metrics that you guys look at to understand whether you're succeeding or not from Lithium's perspective in the community?
Metrics. So one great guy, you know, this Lithium Technologies Chief Community Officer, first name Joe, last name Colorado. I remember in one of his sessions he said, with metrics, it's important to think about what you're measuring. We don't want metrics for the sake of having metrics. So you want to think about what you're measuring. And one thing that we've been looking at is engagement. And that can mean anything for your individual community. For us, it means logins, it means views on our blog articles, and taking a look at the content that's on the community. So that might be anything from a TKV article to a blog to a webcast, taking a look at the views on that and how we can then analyze what works and what doesn't. And then taking a further step there and taking a look at, okay, we have all this great content here, what are we missing? So that's actually something that I've been recently working on with Joe and my team at Lithium, to take a look at, you know, what are some things that we can offer in the Lithium community that maybe we've missed before. And then, you know, every time you try something new, whether it's a new project or contest or whatever it is, there's always metrics that you want to tie behind that. For us, a lot of the times it's kudos and comments and views on that. Is it increasing? Do people like it? Do they find value from it? And that's something that we can compare against. For example, something that happened in December of this year versus something that happened in November. Like, how does that measure up, and what are the trends that we're seeing there?
Got it. Data as a way to make fact-based decisions about your community.
Exactly, and then you can then use. I think it's important to then take those metrics and take that data and tell a story for your team. You don't want to hand like an Excel spreadsheet to your executive staff and be like, "Hey, here, this is what's happening." You want to use those numbers, use those trends, and create that story to create like a larger picture story for your e-staff or for your team.
Right, exactly right. Well, there was one thing you mentioned there when you talked about quality of content, knowledge-based articles, that I think is a great transition to the next topic we want to talk about. I think when people ask me what's different between B2B and B2C, I think there are many things that are different, and I want to hear each of your perspectives on unique challenges of B2B. But one thing that I think of as being unique is I think there's a unique role for content in B2B communities that very often isn't there for B2C communities. I mean, it's all content, right? But B2C tends to be more exclusively peer-generated content, where we see in B2B, sometimes a community manager also runs a content program, a knowledge-based program, a blog program, etc. So Jen, can you talk just a little bit about how that's organized there at Lithium, and then maybe we'll hear from some of the other folks about the unique, what's different about B2B as well.
Yeah. So, like Joe said, I think there's a lot of, when you are running a B2B community, there's a lot of different things that you can focus on, but one thing is aligning, I guess, your customers, so the businesses that you're supporting, their goals with your goals and how you can support them. So I think that comes from having a deep understanding of, what their goals are, and then as that changes or as that evolves, the content that you provide in the community or even the kind of community that you are should evolve as well. So, for example, one thing that I do with my team is communicating a lot of the content within the Lithium community to everyone in the company who has some sort of a communication touch point with our customers. I don't think that is as necessary in a B2C kind of community or in a B2C environment, but for ours it's super important because a lot of the content that we have in the Lithium community is super important for our customers, and we want to make sure that they see it. So for example, one thing that we did for this week was promoting this hangout, and we also had a CMAD blog and another hangout that we're having in the community later this week. Being able to promote those and share the value of those and share those with a larger team so that we can support our customers.
Got it. And I'm also reminded that Alan, you mentioned something earlier that relates to content, but I think is a different concept too. This whole notion of domain expertise, and it reminded me that sometimes people say that B2B community managers have to be a little more experts in the business than perhaps sometimes B2C community managers are. I know there are differences of opinion about that. What's your thought on that, Alan? If somebody wants to be a B2B community manager, do they need to be a guru? Do they need to be an engineer, for example, if it's a technical company? What's your take on that?
Well, I like to think that I'm an expert in all of the things, but that would be a flat-out lie. So I'm relatively technical, but I'm not going to try to present myself as an extremely technical person. One thing that I love about working at Rackspace is that I don't think I've ever been the smartest person in the room, whether that's 2 or 3 people in the room or 6,000 of us. There are so many people that are so intelligent and understand things in a way that I will never understand. But I know them. And if a customer has a question that I can't answer, I'm more than happy to go and get an answer from them. I love that I can say, hey, I think that the answer to your question is this. Let me get somebody who built the product. Let me get the person who maintains that product to answer that for you. So that's great to have. We also do a lot of work with trying to get people set up for success. I mentioned I helped build our onboarding program, I don't know, about 3 years ago, and we've really worked with the onboarding team to create content for that for our customers that might not interact with us during their specific onboarding period that we work with all of our customers.
I love that theme too, because very often when a community manager is asking me about how do I get more of our customers engaged, I say it's got to be part of the onboarding process, and what I often hear back is we don't have an onboarding process. So well, I love the fact you're using that term. You guys have defined it well. If you can give us 2 minutes on that too, that'd be great.
Yeah, oh, I could talk about the onboarding process all the time. So we started to realize that a lot of people would sign up for Rackspace Cloud Services and not have the first idea what to do with it. Or they would say, hey, I've been running my application on dedicated bare metal servers, maybe even at Rackspace for 5, 10 years. I'm just going to go ahead and throw it on this cloud server. And you can do that a lot of the times, but it might not be the best way to take advantage of your resources. I mean, if you're looking to just save a little bit of money by using cloud servers, you're missing out on all of the advantages of the cloud. And I think a lot of people didn't understand that yet. I think that a lot of people might have been misled by cloud washing or whatever you want to call it. And so we really said, hey, let's start from the very beginning and make sure that people understand, make sure that our customers understand what they need, make sure they even know the right questions to ask. It's one of those things where people might not even know they need to ask certain questions. So we took a really consultative approach. We reach out to every single one of our customers within minutes of them signing up for an account, and we introduce ourselves as their individual resource for the next 60 days, and then we really try to dig in deep and find out not just what they're hosting with us, but why they are hosting, what type of business goals they have. We help try to make as many improvements as we can, and that's really more of a manual process. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we can take that manual process and convert as much of that knowledge. After 2 or 3 years of having that program, we have so much knowledge that's out there. So I recently worked with that team to put down about 7,500 words worth of a novella at this point of, hey, here's all of our collected knowledge, and we're working to continually keep that updated so that as new customers come on that might not geographically line up with our launch managers or might not linguistically line up, we can we can give them this information that they can use at their own pace and at their own skill level.
Fantastic. It's such a great partnership between community and onboarding. It's amazing to me that more isn't made of it. And I think B2B of all different segments probably has the greatest opportunity there. Clint, I'd love to hear your take on onboarding as well, but I want to key into something else that you mentioned earlier when you talked a little bit about kind of marketing and marketing objectives. It's another thing that I think is somewhat unique about B2B is that I think in some ways the B2B communities I know are almost more sophisticated in using the community to support marketing objectives than even some of the consumer companies I see, particularly in high tech. Can you talk about that kind of balancing act a little bit? Most B2B communities look a lot like the help and how to support conversation that would be pure support, and yet almost everybody articulates their goals in marketing terms as well as support. Is that true of Cloudera as well?
Sorry, had to unmute there. Yes, I would say that's definitely true with us. So one of the things about B2B users in a community, in my opinion, that's a little bit different than B2C, is that they're the same people that use B2C communities. They're the same people that are passionate about their enthusiasts community they go to, or their consumer products they bought. But they're coming to the B2B community for a different reason. They're coming there for their day job, so to speak, or their career enhancement, or to grow their career and learn a new product or whatever. And so they're more mission focused. One of the key things that I've noticed is more difficult with B2B users is trying to build a real personal relationship with them, try to engage with them on a personal level, because a lot of times they're flyby users more so. When they have a problem, they come to the community. When they get it solved, they're gone. There's not the constant engagement, just the desire to hang out there and converse as much. So what we do is we try to build programs, and one of the things I did recently, I learned from a training class taught by a real sharp guy in this circle about the onboarding process, about a welcome email, sending them a welcome invite and giving them a few steps and encouraging new users how to use the community, what to do first, how to build out their profile, how to we built an introduce yourself board to try to get people to come and announce themselves and tell why they're there and what they're looking to do with this community. And surprisingly, they've really adopted that, and people are really every day they're coming in and they're introducing themselves, and we always welcome them, and we try to build those gaps and those bridges. I mean, to close those gaps between users and create more stickiness to our community, and what we're doing through all of this is building a brand. I talked to our VP of product management a while back about it, and he thought our community is one of the most important things to build our company success, a competitive advantage for our company, because people come and they'll be tire kickers. You know, they'll kick the different products and try them out. But if they get engaged with a group of people and they feel like they're part of something, and there's a lot of vibrancy in a community, it actually builds brand stickiness. It makes them feel like, hey, this is where all the cool kids are hanging out. This is probably the stronger product. I'm going to go ahead and go this direction with it. So it's got a lot of marketing and brand stickiness factors to it as well. So it's a lot of different angles that we pursue with community.
That's great. I mean, I love that theme too of how B2B users are different than B2C users, because I agree with you that they are distinct. There are some different behaviors that we see there, and I know, Julie, that's one of your favorite topics as well, right? How do you see the difference between B2B users and B2C users?
Well, I think Alan and Clint already touched on some of them. I mean, they're coming to your community because they need to get their job done, and generally they don't have that much time. You know, they need to get to their content quickly, and it's your job to make sure that the content is available and that they can easily, either by through search or navigation, that they can easily find it, and that it's in a format that they will be able to easily digest. Whether it's your customers coming in, or even prospects who are maybe doing trials. So for us, that is one thing that we look at. Providing training as well. That was, when we launched the community, that was one of the #1 thing that a user requested. They were able to get started with the product, but they wanted to learn how they could further their knowledge. We have like 260 some tools in our platform. So, and there are so many ways that you can use those tools. It's so complex. That training was one of the things that was required, and that's what we started working on. We started working on providing weekly exercises that users can come back to, regardless of their levels. Intermediate, beginner, expert, that they could consume and practice when they're not actually working on a business on their business workflow. But so that's one thing. I think you will see, this was mentioned as well, but you will see less. I think you will see less members in your community as well. It's smaller membership, and it will really pay off to really nurture those relationships, because it is a long-term relationships. As Clint mentioned, it's not people coming in looking for an answer and leaving. They will keep coming back, and they will keep wanting to find out more about your products, what you're working on, how they can optimize what they're doing. So it requires a slightly different approach, and I think it requires more of a pull as well to get them into the community. So definitely cozying up to marketing will be a huge help. So you can target the right market, but so that you also have more channels where you can promote your community and get those people to learn about the great resources that you have to offer.
Great. That's perfect. I got our 5-minute warning about 2 minutes ago, so we only have a couple minutes left here. But another thing I asked you guys to think a little bit about was, where is all this going? What's the future of B2B communities? And we may not have time to go all the way around the table, but anybody who has some really thoughts that they really want to share on this particular topic of the future of B2B, just raise their hand and I'll call on you. Julie, jump in.
So I don't know if this is actually a trend in what we're seeing. It's something that I would like to see. We have so much data on our customers, on those accounts. We're all trying to figure out, there's so much of it. We're all trying to figure out what to do with it. Being able to have that 360 view of the profile of your customers is key, so that you can offer personalized experience through their journey, regardless of whether they're a prospect coming into the community, they're working through their ramping up, or they have been around for a long time. Having that data will help you hopefully to create a personalized experience and a consistent experience also throughout the journey.
Great. I think that's a great note to end on, and I think the CMAD team will be very thankful to us for being prompt. You guys were super prepared for this, which I really love. You had lots of great stuff to share, and I feel like we could go on for another hour and explore a lot of the topics that you raised. But really appreciate your participation today. I think the whole community of community managers thanks you, and Brew, I think you're already ready to take it away from us.
Thank you guys so much. I think that we could go on maybe 2 more hours about this. This is awesome. You guys shared a lot of great insights. I've been doing B2B and B2C myself, so it's awesome to hear you guys talk about the similarities and differences, and I'm sure that our audience and all of our wonderful community managers will be pinging you guys with questions on Twitter. You can find these wonderful people on Twitter. If you have questions, you can rewatch the video on our YouTube channel. We'll have a recap. So thank you guys so much for joining, and I hope they have a wonderful night. And we will be back in about 10 minutes for our second to last hangout of this Community Manager Appreciation Day. So we'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.